Hello guys, Sir Grandalot here with a video giving you my feedback about Honkai Star Rail after playing it for a few days. And this is the Honkai Rail equivalent of Chi-Chi in all her glory. Because of course I got her almost immediately. I'm predestined to play with the Chi-Chi in every game that I own. Now, I will give you the too long didn't watch early, so if you don't want to watch and listen to a video that is probably going to be 10-15 minutes long of me talking about the game, I'm getting run over, of me talking about the game, you can just turn it off after clicking like and subscribe, unless you're already subscribed. In that case, you don't need to click subscribe again, but you can still click like. The too long didn't watch is that the game is extremely good. It's much better than I was expecting, and it surprised me. I was expecting to skip it, but I'm definitely going to play it long term because it's extremely well made. Now, let's talk a little bit in detail about what's similar with Genshin Impact, what are the differences, what's better, what's worse. What's different, objectively different, are, well, the combat, which is turn-based. You can watch the other video that I uploaded. It has a fight from a boss in the Abyss. It lasts, I believe, 6 or 7 minutes, and it just turns after turns after turns. If you don't mind turn-based combat games, then you're definitely going to enjoy Honkai Star Rail. If you prefer real-time combat, it could definitely turn you off a little bit. There are ways to manipulate turns to sort of play in real time, but for the most part, it's turn-based. Another difference is, of course, the world. This is a city hub that is very, very big. There is a lot of walking around to do, but at the end of the day, it's a city hub. It's its own area. If I want to go somewhere else, I need to teleport, and for example, this area, the outlying snowy plains, it's, you know, this path, and once you reach here, which takes way less than 5 minutes, it's done. I got all the chests here, so unless I want to farm a ley line, I will never go back here again for the rest of my life. And same applies to every location. So if you like the idea that you get in open world games, that you see something in the distance and you really want to be able to explore and reach a faraway mountain or a castle that appears in the horizon all of a sudden, this is not going to be the game for you, because if this was Genshin Impact, you see this mountain and you would be thinking, oh my god, what's there? Let's go to have a look. But it's the end of the map, somewhere here, not far from here. Actually here, this is the end of the map. If we go here, it's a different region, so we cannot really go to see all that stuff. Again, areas are big, they're extremely well detailed, but you don't have that sense of freedom that Genshin Impact has. Speaking of detail, the game is way more detailed than Genshin Impact, but that has to be expected. An open world game cannot be as detailed as something like this, which is in instances, because it would be an installation of 500 million gigabytes. And this is 13 gigabytes, I believe, on PC. So RIP smartphone and tablet users, but you know, it's like that for Genshin Impact. You will deal with a lot of trash cans in the game. You will get used to it, don't worry. And those are the two things that are very, very different between the two games. A lot of things will feel extremely similar. Now, let's go to the character screen for a moment. This guy was my first 5-star character from the beginner banner, because in this game you get 5 stars from the beginner banner. Guaranteed. Details are about the same. There are some stats that are different from Genshin Impact, like speed, but you know, it's just the stats. Light Cone is the equivalent of a weapon. It's just a card, it's not a weapon, but it has the exact same function. Traces are the talents. There is a talent tree. But it just unlocks as you progress through the game. It's not that you make choices. Just as you progress the game and your character ascends, you unlock more stuff. Relics are the artifact. There is a slight difference compared to Genshin Impact. In Genshin Impact we have 5 artifacts. Here there are 4, that are these 4 things on the outside, plus 2, these 2 at the center. They are farming in different ways, and the 2 in the center in particular, that are the planar sphere and the link rope, whatever they are farming in the Abyss. which is sweet. It's a very sweet idea. And Eidolons are the constellations, exactly like in Genshin Impact. So the first time that you get a character, you're Eidolon 0, and if you get more copies playing the game, you get, Eidolon 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. Since I mentioned the Abyss, let me show you these other things. Calyxes are exactly like the ley lines: XP books, weapon material books, Mora books. This is a ley lines for materials, for like weapon, ascension materials. So it's basically a ley line instead of a domain, like we have in Genshin Impact, but it's about the same. Stagnant Shadows are the bosses, the open world bosses that you farm to ascend characters and their talents. Cavern of Corrosion are the artifact domains. Echo of War are the weekly bosses. Forgotten Hall is something that has 15 floors and you can get 3 stars in each floor and you get rewards. I don't know if it resets, if they will probably just add more stages later. We shall see. I have no clue. I have not played the beta. The Abyss is the simulated universe. It resets weekly instead of every 2 weeks, and while you play it, having fun, doing different runs and getting rewards, if you enter with 40 resin, it's not called resin, but for the sake of simplicity I will call it resin, you can use 40 resin to drop the things that your characters use. If you do not have it, you can just skip it. You keep playing and you have fun, and that's okay. Otherwise, you can just come here to farm artifacts and stuff like that. It's way more replayable than the Abyss in Genshin Impact, not just because it resets weekly, but in general it's more replayable. There are a huge variety of cards and upgrades that make it similar to a roguelike game, which is something that I really, really, really like. The simulated universe is so much better than Genshin Impact Abyss. There is no comparison between the two. Other things, the reward system is kinda similar to Genshin Impact, although it's way more generous. There is a beginner banner that is not available here because I already used it all. After 50 pulls in the beginner banner, you're guaranteed to get a 5-star character, and I already got mine. And you get those 50 pulls for free very early. It takes just a few games, a few hours, let's say a few days of gameplay. And the standard banner has a huge improvement again compared to Genshin Impact, which is that after 300 pulls, and it doesn't take very long thanks to how many free pulls we get, you are guaranteed to pick the 5-star that you want. So I got this guy from the beginner banner, and then I got Bailu and Bronya on the standard banner. So at 300, which will take me probably a few days / weeks, I will probably pick Himeko because of the missing ones. She's the one that I like the most. The standard characters, those that we get for free, like main character, Natasha, who is a healer, and where is Twirl? Herta, who is a AoE damage dealer. The free characters are exceptional. You can keep progressing in the game and clear the first floors of the Abyss using just free characters very, very easily, and there is no lack of resources in the game when it comes to leveling them up and ascending them and all this sort of stuff. This is March 7, which is a shielder. She's extremely good. Main character is extremely good. Very, very good. Especially the Pyro version. Main character can change elements like in Genshin Impact. So, really, very, very generous game to start with. So, I 100% suggest you to try it, because the first few days of game will give you a good idea of what it's like. Now, things that are clearly better than Genshin Impact are, well, there are a lot of quality of life improvements that make the game more accessible and more convenient to play on a daily basis. It's way more generous in terms of pools. And the visual design, the detail is better than Genshin Impact. Sound design is similar. When it comes to music and stuff like that, there is a lot of personal preference involved. But MiHoYo does not make games that sound bad or with second-tier music. Everything in this game is exceptional, and the first the first weekly boss, the fight at the end of I believe it's rank 24 or 25 or thereabouts, is better than any weekly boss in Genshin Impact in terms of epicness. So I'm really looking forward to how the game will improve and how it will build on that. Things that are worse than Genshin Impact, for me there is one that makes me put a little bit of a question mark on the future replayability or power creep. MiHoYo doesn't do a lot of power creep in its games. Because I've been playing Genshin Impact for 2 years and a half, and every Abyss rotation I managed to clear it with just 4-star characters. Like, yeah, sure, after 2.5 years that you play the game, you have insane artifacts, you have constellations, but that's something that happens if you play the game. So if you have been playing for 2 weeks and you only have main character and Barbara, you cannot compare your account to people who have been playing for 2.5 years and have insane stats. This will probably be the same with an addition. The combat is designed in a way, if you have a look at my combat video for a weekly boss, it's going to be very clear, but let's see if I can go to kill something very quickly. Where could I find some enemy? Probably here, it should be very quick. There is something that is very important in this game, which is breaking the weakness of the enemies. Let me find some dude to hit. Hello? It's an empty wasteland. Oh, okay, they're there. Let's approach it without actually starting the fight. Okay. We don't need to hit it, I don't want to aggro it. Here you can see 2 elements, Pyro and Anemo. They're not called Pyro and Anemo, they're called Fire and Wind, I believe, but essentially it's Pyro and Anemo. So it will have a sort of a shield bar that if you use other elements, it's not going to be a fun time. If you use those 2 elements, Fire and Anemo, I will call it Anemo, it's going to destroy the shield of that dude very, very quickly. What this means is that long-term the Abyss could be set up in a way that, oh, you really, really, really need to have this element that is the same element of the character on the banner. And it's something that is going to annoy me when it happens, because if you've been following me in Genshin Impact, you know that I like the Abyss rotations where you're free to use any character that you want as long as it's well built. And I don't like the rotation when there are like 25 elemental shields, Hydro elemental shield particularly, that if you don't bring a cryo with you, you feel like a retard. But you are essentially forced to play that element, and I don't like it. I don't like the game to force me to play an element. I prefer to be able to play any character that I want as long as it's well built. My fear is that long term there will be a rise in this kind of limitation in new monsters that are released, that it will feel very bad to play against them unless you have characters that are very specific, like, oh, against this boss, if you don't have a single target damage dealer of that specific element, you're going to have a bad time. And if you don't have it, you're not going to be happy. And if you only have a 4-star version character of that specific element and team utility, you may struggle a bit. Who knows? This is a big boss, by the way. I will not spoil it because it's glorious. You will find it by yourself. So I've been renting for a while with just Chi-Chi and friends walking around. The game is great. It's really, really great. I was not expecting to enjoy it as much, but I will be playing it a lot in the coming weeks, months, for how long I enjoy it. It's very cool for me to have another game like this to play, because I've been playing Genshin Impact for 3 years and a half, and I know that there are some huge periods of downtime with MiHoYo. Some patches are awful, or sometimes there is a patch where you do everything the first week, and then for the remaining 2 weeks of that half of a patch, you log in, you do the commission, you dump the raising, you don't have anything else to play. And sometimes it feels a little bit bad. Hello, big dude. And so having 2 games will probably hopefully feel better. Here I will give you a very quick show of the fight in case you've never seen it. I will be auto-playing it at the double speed. I'm not doing anything right now. It's very convenient. It works a little bit like an idle game. If you're doing easy fights like the domains, as I was mentioning earlier, or, you know, random trash monsters on the map and you don't want to waste time actually following the fight because you know that you're going to one-shot them. Hello, sweet, sweet, sweet rewards. Definitely recommend trying it out. And in the coming future, my streams will probably be half and half Genshin Impact, half Star Rail, and I will be focusing on one game more than the other, depending on, you know, activities, events, Abyss reset, Simulation Universe resets, and all this sort of stuff. The video's been very long, I've been ranting for a while, so I'll see you next time. Bye guys, take care.